Last week we hit the Tanakh.
Yeah.
If you look in the Hebrew, it's much easier to see why it's the Tanakh. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Right?
Yeah.
Torah was the 5 books, Bereshit, Shmos, V'Ikra, B'Nei, V'Devarim, Nevi'im. You have the early Nevi'im, the later Nevi'im. The early Nevi'im are Yeshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, Malachim. And the later Nevi'im are Yecheskel, Yeshayahu. And then the 12
others that are one.
The 12 others that are one book called Treasar. The Ketuvim, you have the 5, what are they called? The 5 Megillot.
Yeah.
And then you have, in addition, you have Tehillim, Mishlei, Daniel,
Job,
Ezra,
Job, Chronicles,
Nehemiah, and Divrei Yamim. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In this chart, in the Hebrew chart, as well as the English chart on the back of it, they put this next line. We're actually going to skip it. We're going to come back to it.
Can I say something just because I heard Tehillim?
Yeah.
So someone told me yesterday that Tehillim is the only thing that if you just say the words, like you cannot read it, you shouldn't read it in English, right? Just saying the word, even if you don't.
Okay, to say you should, I agree with the basic premise. In other words, yes, it is correct that by simply reading it, there's a benefit, an absolute benefit. I wouldn't say it's the only thing. According to halacha, if you read any of the 24 books of the written Torah, the Tanakh, if you read any of the 24 books, you need to make the bracha of
studying Torah.
Studying Torah, even if you don't understand any of them, which means to a certain degree it applies to all 24 books, not just Tehillim. What's a good question, which I tried to do some research this week. I mean, it's not this week, this summer, and all the rabbis I asked give me the same answer, but none of them can prove it so far. And I asked them, what about reading? So if you read the oral Torah, which is what we're about to study about today, if you read the oral Torah, you must understand it in order to need to make the blessing. In addition, if you read it in a different language, it makes no difference, because as long as you understand it, you fulfill the mitzvah.
Okay.
But my question is, what about the written Torah? If you read the written Torah in a different language, do you fulfill a mitzvah? And
the answer what?
Everyone says, oh, it must be.
Okay, but I couldn't source it.
But nobody can source it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I asked some people who are pretty knowledgeable. I didn't get to the top of my knowledge chain yet. But yeah.
So if that's the case, we should put so much emphasis in learning good Hebrew, right? Or like to be able to learn Hebrew.
Yes. I'm not going to argue with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to argue with you.
So why in the
I even thought about doing, with this class specifically, we spoke about having 2 classes a week. The second class just to be learning how to learn Chumash in Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? I thought about it.
It's nice.
It's like very nice.
Yeah, there's so much on the word, the shores where it's come
Yes.
from, like that you missed on the translation.
Yes.
So why they don't they teach Hebrew in like the very?
Give me my charger.
You want to use mine? Why don't you use Stevo's? Okay.
Why they don't like teach Hebrew in the in very religious schools? I don't understand.
They don't teach Hebrew as a spoken language, but in all the schools that I ever went to, the most important thing was your Hebrew skills.
So they can speak Hebrew, but they can read
Absolutely.
and understand.
I came to Israel my first year.
Like the Torah Hebrew.
Right, Torah Hebrew.
But what's the difference?
It's different. They have they're very related, but let's say it would be no, that would be too different. I was going to say it's different. I was going to say Spanish and Portuguese, but it's less different.
I think they can speak Hebrew.
No, so when I came to Israel, when I came my first year to Israel, after 10 years in yeshiva, 12 years in yeshiva or something, I was 19 years old, I think, or 20, 19 or 20. I came to Israel, and I tried to speak Hebrew. And I was in an all Hebrew yeshiva. So there's 2 Americans in the whole yeshiva. and they laughed so hard they thought it was the funniest thing. The way that I spoke.
I'm guessing it's like a formal,
Yeah,
it's not like
yes.
the slang or
That's right.
It's like you would sound funny, like old
Yes.
language that nobody.
It would be
uses.
speaking Shakespeare too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, even and not only that is we were not trained in speaking it. So when you think I could translate well. In other words, now I could speak a little better, but I could hear my friends speak and I could understand what they're saying, but to find the words, I wasn't able to do it that well, or to put it together into a proper sentence, I wasn't able to do that well. Not because I didn't understand it, but because you're not trained in doing it. So and you never practice it. So those are things your brain is not ready for. I guess you were right. So good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
So
No.
yeah, that's what she was saying. That's crazy.
Crazy.
But I give it another week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Everyone's figuring it out.
some people that don't go to school anymore. I don't know.
So the first row is what we did last week, and that is the Tanakh. Underneath the first row is out of order in terms of chronological order. The reason that it's put there is because in order to get the picture of where these other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, which is really more than 5, but we're going to call them 5 books. It is correct that this is what it's based on, is directly based on the Torah, Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim. We're going to skip that row for now. We'll come back to it, okay? Because that comes later in history. We're going to go now to the oral Torah. See. So the beginning's in there. No importa. The first, no importa.
Chapter 1 es Tanakh.
Tanakh.
Es el que más conoces. ¿De dónde son estos? Y es la Torah escrita. Si quieres ahorita te paso. Digamos,
24
Torah
libros. It's 24 books of the written Torah, and it goes all the way basically from, what's discussed is all the way from creation of the world until the destruction of the rebuilding of the second temple, which is about
1000. Sí, este es the written Torah, la Torah escrita que Moshe recibió y escribió todo.
well, 5 son de Moshe.
Estos son de Moshe.
Sí.
Ajá, los otros
Son
los
5, 8 y 11.
Torah 5,
Sí.
Nevi'im que es
8 libros.
8.
Y que tuvimos 11.
Altogether is 24 books. And that is called the written Torah. Okay? Now we're going to the oral Torah. So before we go to the oral Torah, let's just talk about it for a minute. And then we'll talk about the books. See?
So last class you only talked about
The first row.
this.
Yes.
And the oral Torah is the Mishnah.
Bueno,
Starts
todo-
with the Mishnah.
todo esto es oral Torah.
We're skipping Midrash.
Yes. We're skipping for now.
Midrash is only the explanation
No.
of this.
Yes, it is. That's why they put it there so you can see it visually.
Okay.
But in terms of the time, it comes after. It comes during the times of the Talmud and after the Talmud. Both the Zohar, the Midrashim, Mechilta, Sifra, and Sifri are during the times of the Talmud. But we'll get back to those. Okay? So we're skipping that row for now. Before we talk about the next book, let's talk about the oral Torah altogether. Because you need to understand what the oral Torah is before you understand what the book is, or books are. We believe, and I think I might have said this to you guys before, but we believe that Moshe Rabbeinu was a fine Jewish husband and father, and therefore he had 5 different jobs.
One was secretary.
One, and that's exactly, we spoke about that last week.
And I only have one.
One was secretary, that's right. The other 3 I'll go through very quickly is he was a judge, he was a king, and he was a general. But let's not talk about those in detail now. The 5th one is where he gets his last name,
He was a rabbi,
Rabbi.
teacher.
teacher. Moshe the teacher. What was Moshe the teacher? What was he teaching?
Torah.
But which Torah?
The
All
oral
of it.
Torah.
The oral
The
Torah.
oral.
The oral Torah. The written Torah, he didn't have to teach.
It was written.
It was written. Even though even in the written Torah, there's things that need to be taught in terms of understanding it and whatever, but that's for another conversation. basically he was teaching the oral Torah. Now, what is the oral Torah? What was he teaching? What was the oral Torah that he was teaching? No, I'm going to add one.
Right?
Yeah, Torah Shabbat Peh, exactly. I'm going to add a job. He was also a student. Let's look at the three jobs of secretary, student, and teacher to understand what the oral Torah is really about. As a secretary, Moshe would write the words. We'll use this as an example. He would write the words, Ukshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totefot b'neinecha. That's what Hashem would say these words. Ukshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totefot b'neinecha. Moshe, the secretary, would write it down.
But then they'll teach you need to put it here.
That is found, exactly. That is found in the written Torah. Those words are found in the written Torah, and specifically in the Torah part of the written Torah. Now, Moshe, the student, would raise his hand. Even though there was only one person in the class, I guess he still had to raise his hand, I imagine. What kind of student doesn't raise their hand? It has to be. And he would say, Hashem, okay, I wrote it down. Good.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What does it mean? Ukshartam la'ot al yadachi. You shall tie it as a sign on your hand. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about?
It would take an hour to discuss like a paragraph. I guess
How long would that class take?
they would have been years.
Okay, it was 40 years.
40 years.
It was 38 years.
Where?
38 years in the desert.
There.
These
Moshe
conversations.
And God was
Yeah, back
going
and forth.
through the
Yes,
text and
yes,
explaining.
yes, exactly.
No, but wasn't it only the 40 days that he was up the mountain?
Okay, there's debate about this matter. I'm sticking with my opinion, even though there is another opinion in the Talmud that follows your version. Even if it was, that would have to make the transmission more miraculous, which I don't have a problem with miracles. I have no problem at all. But I prefer, whenever possible, to leave it out of the realm of miracles. And that is that it took 40 years. Either way, even according to the other opinion, then they went un repaso. So maybe he got all the information, the whole entire download happened in the 40 days, perhaps. Fine, doesn't bother me. But he then went through in detail, according to all opinions, over the rest of the 38 years.
But they weren't going to walk for 40 years. Maybe it was all intentional to have the time to.
Fair enough. I don't have
To
an answer to
assimilate.
that's beyond, though, that is out of my
But
pay scale. I'm not able to answer that question. Sure.
But also,
Why not?
also
Makes sense.
Moshe taught the Torah because he was a teacher to the elders and.
So we're getting there. We're getting there.
So
Now we're
he-
talking
he
about the
must-
student.
So he must knew all the Torah miraculously.
No, because he's
No?
a student. He starts as a student.
Mhm.
The Talmud does describe the immense difficulty and the immense effort that Moshe had to expend in order to learn what he had to learn.
Okay, so.
Yes. So it was definitely not a miraculous download. Maybe there was once a miraculous download at the 40 days, but yes, his actual getting the information, understanding the information, that was not miraculous, according to all opinions that I know of. Maybe there's other opinions that
Where the Talmud says that he had to make a great effort.
tremendous effort. So Moshe, the student, would ask Hashem, "What do you mean?" Constantly. What do you mean? And what do you mean by that? And what does that mean? And how does that work? And what does that mean? And how does this? And that was Moshe the student. That is the beginning of what we call the oral Torah. Why do we call it the oral Torah? Because it's Torah the exact same as the written Torah. Only Moshe did not receive it in a written form, even though Moshe wrote the first Torah, but he wrote it because Hashem dictated it. This was not dictated. This was explained. And therefore,
Where does it say that the source of that it says that God explained to him and there's an oral Torah?
in many places, this is where it's finally put in its, let's say, nicest format was first by somebody who we're going to learn about when we get to this small box, the second small box after the Talmuds, the Gaonim. There was a Gaon whose name was Reb Sharira Gaon, and he wrote a grand history of the Torah up until his point, and then that was restated shortly afterwards by the Rambam. The Rambam, in his introduction to his explanation of the Mishnah, and then in his introduction to the Mishnah Torah, he made a shorter version of the entire history of the Torah up until his point. That's where it's written in its nicest format, but meaning to say the most organized, where you bring all the information into one place and you can understand the whole picture. But it comes from many, many places, primarily the Talmud and the Medrash. Okay, does that make sense? I don't know if I explained it well. Okay, now Moshe, the teacher, would then go ahead and teach what he learned to the Jewish people.
The Mishnah.
Let's not give it any names. The mitzvot. Even though, as we mentioned last week, every one of the 613 mitzvot must be found in the 5 books of the Torah. They must be found in the 5 books of the Torah, but that's just one line. For example, ukshatam la'ot al yadecha, and you will tie a sign in your hand, but it doesn't say what it is. We have no understanding of what the mitzvah means if we don't have Moshe asking a question, but what does it mean?
So in the Mishnah, it is written.
No, don't get the Mishnah yet. Let's first, yes, is going to be the answer. But let's not get that. That's when it finally gets written down.
Okay.
Moshe, the teacher, now goes ahead and teaches each mitzvah to the Jewish people. And he taught it 4 times in a row to 4 different groups of people. Moshe, the teacher, first teaches to, if I remember the order correct, Aharon and his sons. Maybe Yeshua is there too?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. You know what? I'm going to get the book just to make sure that I don't mess it up.
Then he taught the Torah 4 times in a row.
Correct.
Va a decir a quién. Primero Aarón y los hijos, sabiendo si a Yoshua
Let
estaba
me just
incluido
double
también
check
ahí.
that I get it right. I
Yoshua
don't wanna
era
mess it
el
up.
que fue
Primero
líder.
a Moshe y Aarón.
No,
No, Aarón y sus hijos.
o sea, Moshe
Moshe, Aarón y
Moshe.
sus hijos. Moshe, Aarón y sus hijos.
y maybe Yoshua.
Aarón y sus hijos.
Espera, y
Sí,
maybe
y
Yoshua.
maybe Joshua. Pero la segunda vez, ahorita va a explicar, se lo volvió a enseñar el próximo grupo, que no me acuerdo cuál es,
It's not here.
pero era el próximo grupo con Aarón
Era
y sus
acumulativo.
hijos. Era
Okay,
como
let's
que
see
era
how-
acumulativo, era cada vez, entonces Aarón lo escuchó
4 veces.
4 veces, los otros veces.
Mm.
We'll
Why-
see how
why-
AI
¿Cómo
does
que
it.
se llaman factorial?
No sé, de 4 por 3
Me
por 2 por
vino.
1.
Me vino a la cabeza.
Yo
Pero,
aprendí la regla de 3 en el colegio, o sea, digo,
Qué útil, ¿verdad? Que no enseña
regla
la regla de
tres, no hace
3.
falta más
Yo
nada.
no puedo creer.
Es
que
el único
aquí-
cosa útil
es lo
matemática
es
ever.
lo único, yo lo uso tanto. Y aquí no lo enseño.
Okay, I messed it up. I knew I messed it up. I got the rest. Okay, good. First, he teaches it just to Aaron, his brother.
Okay.
Then he teaches it to Aaron and his sons together.
Mhm.
Then he teaches it a 3rd time to what are called the Zakanim. Zakanim literally mean the elders, the leaders of the Jewish people. 70 people. So now it became a big lecture. At each of these 3 so far, well, let's go to the 4th. The 4th time, whoever wanted to come. He made a shiur. You want to learn from Moshe? Everybody is welcome to come. At each of the 4 times, everybody who were taught previously remained.
Mhm.
So now Aharon has heard it 4 times.
You can be a teacher now.
Well, that's exactly what happens. Aaron now teaches it. So Aaron has heard it 4 times and taught it once. Now he leaves. The sons of Aaron teach it. So now they've heard it 4 times. 3 times from Moshe, 1 time from Aaron, and they teach it once. And they leave.
Ah.
And then the Zakanim teach it.
Pero no solamente lo escucharon, sino también lo volvieron a repetir y el resto se quedaba.
And now the Jewish people teach it one to another. This way, this was the method
Okay.
to ensure that everything remains perfect and everything remains right.
Mhm.
Because number 1, if Moshe made a mistake on the 3rd time he taught it, the guys who heard it the first 2 times would say, Moshe, hey, that's not the way you taught it. And he would have to explain it again.
Why wasn't all just written? Do you think there's-
Excellent question. I have my own theory. This is Rafi Rosenberg's theory, which makes it worthless. But it's what I think. It's what I think. And that is, okay, why not? We'll go for a short version of a long
Vamos a debatir
conversation.
muchísimo.
¿Cómo?
Claro.
We can
Es el
debate
momento.
here a lot because
Let's do it. Bring it on.
if God, the intention was for it not to be written because all these little things that are maybe not important, like not in
Who said that?
they're not important. Like
Okay.
let's say you will wrap it around your hand.
Okay.
It
It's very
could
important.
be,
That's
it's
very
very important. But if he didn't write that it has to be a leather strap and a blue,
All very
gloves,
important. Very important.
right. But if the intention was for it to be so exact, then it would have been written.
Okay,
since the
good.
first
So
time.
here's my debate with
Like
you.
it was regular people. who
Here's my debate
decided
with you.
years later
Very
to write
good.
it.
Here's my debate with you. And
Right,
actually,
but
my
But
debate
you-
has a new level to it now. Now that I think about it, now with the AI, it has a whole new level. We'll come back to the AI part in a minute. But are all three of you citizens?
yeah,
Yeah,
Law-abiding citizens?
yeah.
mostly.
What?
Law abiding.
Do you
Some-
follow the
Some
laws?
tickets here and there.
Most of the
I don't
time.
know all the laws, but
That's
I
the
see.
fairest answer I've ever heard, and I've never heard it before. Somebody finally admits. Everyone normally says yes. Really? You don't know any of them. Which laws do you know in the United States of America? One. Tell me one. So you know the traffic laws because in order to get your license, you need to learn the laws, or at least the basic laws. But other than that, do you know any laws? Have you ever opened the American law book in your life?
No.
And the laws are beautifully written, at
Yeah.
length, with detail. Anything you need to know about the law is written down. That's my basic argument.
Right.
And
But-
nobody knows it.
But you know what you do every day, kind of.
But you have
right?
no clue what the law is.
Right, but your answer is you don't need to know the laws, but if you know the behavior that goes to
You have no clue.
Mhm.
We use law in our society. We use law for 2 or 3 basic reasons. One is when somebody
Control.
hurts you,
Mhm.
okay? You do something to me, and I want to either punish you.
Innocent until proven guilty. That's a law.
Okay, that is true. There you go. That's a theory. It's not a law. You'd have to find how it's written. But you do something to hurt me, and I want to either get paid back if it's a financial hurt, or even if it's a physical hurt, I want to get some payment, or I want to punish you. That's how we use the law.
so you're saying that like if it was only written Torah, nobody really knew what was happening in the Torah
I believe that we've proven it.
with this.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the
the basic argument. I have a little more to it, but that's the basic argument.
Well, that's a good argument. Sí, o sea,
How
como que
and
estuviera escrito, nadie en verdad.
who knows the laws?
No, but
Only
we do. We study Torah,
Torah we do.
but I don't get your argument.
Okay, we'll get there. I'm not done. Let me. She's
El
she's
argumento
running
es que si lo
ahead. You caught the
escribirías-
idea.
Si lo escribirías, nadie la supiera.
Why?
Tienes que hacerlo un debate, hablarlo, ¿no?
Basically, but we'll get to. I'm almost ready for the punchline. But yes, you guys got the basic point. Who knows the laws in America? Supposedly, at
The
least
lawyer.
the lawyers. So we have a class of people who are educated in this very unusual knowledge base. And this class of people, their job is that when you want to know the law, which is rarely, it's either to protect yourself in the future or to protect yourself in the past. That's the only time you're curious about the law. Okay, in the future, because you want to make sure that nobody's going. You have a new design, and you want to make sure that nobody's going to steal your design. Okay, so you figure out ways to protect your design. You know what I'm saying? Or you want to establish your business on proper legal principles so that later the government can do something to hurt you. Right? So you use the law for your benefit when it's interesting to you. Otherwise, you're not even curious about it. That is the reality of the law in the United States of America and in most places in the world. I believe, this is my belief, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, Hashem wanted it to be the exact opposite. He wanted that the law should define what we think and what we want. And therefore, instead of putting it in a book He wants it to be in our head and in our heart. If I put it in a book, it remains the domain of the scholars. If I ensure that, and this is the way that it's meant to be taught, it was never meant to be written down. It was meant to be teachers to students, parents to children, and this is the way it's supposed to be. The tradition is supposed to be carried. Sure.
Can we see the source where it says that there's a Torah al Pei that it's meant to be taught?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's written in the Chumash itself.
In the Chumash itself.
Sure. That's in the Shema. I keep skipping a line. My brain is not working. And I open to the right page. Vishinantam levanecha, you will teach them to your children, v'dibarta bam, and you will speak about them. V'shiftecha v'eisecha, when you're sitting in your house, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, when you're on the road, u'v'shachbecha, when you lay down, u'v'kumecha, when you stand up. This is supposed to be our 24/7 conversation between ourselves and between our families. That was the vision. It is the vision, not was. It is the vision. That's the vision. However, you are correct that you need to have at the same time. Yeah, go ahead.
What you just read could apply to the Torah,
It is.
not to the Mishnah.
What do you think the Torah is?
No, but I get what Daniela said. I mean, there are things that are not exactly written in the Torah that, I don't know, the rabbis, I know.
Interpreted.
Not interpreted, but I know that the Torah says that these are not common rabbis and are like sages, right?
Forget the sages. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's call them.
But there are things that are not exactly the same explained in the Torah and that are like como
An extrapolation.
developed by the rabbis, right? And they are not exactly the same written. I don't know. I don't have like a.
Well, an example would be useful.
I don't know. Maybe
Because then we can establish what's what in the example. Okay,
Tefilim,
good.
por ejemplo. Maybe
Good.
Tefilim. You have to wrap, but they didn't say it was black, it was leather, it was.
No, all incorrect.
No?
From beginning to end.
Okay. Okay, so explain, because I think that this is
Well, there's the
understood.
people that follow only the Torah.
Yeah, but
There's
that's
Jews that don't,
yeah,
I don't
but
know how it goes.
that is okay. We'll come back to them. We will. I'm just going to say that is the easiest way to not follow the Torah, because what you do then is you say, yeah, I only follow what it says literally in the Torah. Okay, so what does it say literally in the Torah about Shabbat? It says literally you should not do any work. Okay, so I don't go to work. Done. So I follow Shabbat, which means I can turn it into anything I want.
Exactly, but the thing is that
The details are in the details are not there. They're not explained there.
The details are never explained there. There's
And
only
you're
one
saying
mitzvah
they're
in which all the
meant to-
details
They're
are.
meant to
The
not be
details-
there. So you
On
teach
purpose,
it and talk about
absolutely.
it
So
and-
Moshe taught the details.
Yes,
Okay, so
entirely.
it was Moshe that taught the details.
yes,
not the
no,
sages
that's
that-
exactly correct. Now you're not wrong. There is spaces where the rabbis added things, and there's spaces where the rabbis interpreted things. We'll speak about that in a
The
minute.
chicken is a good example.
Yes, chicken and milk
Chicken
is an
and
example.
riding a car.
No, because that's
Riding a car is simple.
No,
Yes.
No, because
because why a bicycle you can use?
Who said you can, number one, but not number
No,
two?
not a
Keep going.
bicycle, a patineta.
Let's say you're allowed. Okay, I'm gonna say you're allowed. Fine. Because that's another argument that I'm
Uh-huh,
not
there are-
in the mood.
There are a lot of technicalities.
No, so it's a
that
very
have
simple answer.
become law.
No, that's a simple answer. That does not require any great rabbinic interpretations. It's very simple. Until Tesla. And then it becomes an interesting question, but still a simple answer. But let's forget Teslas. Let's go back to cars before electric cars. Okay? How does a car work?
Yeah, fire.
It's a fire. It's
I
simple.
know the answer.
So that's simple. No rabbi had to even think about that.
And what about Tesla?
you're not supposed to
What
work
about
that
the
was
electric-
work that was done in the Mishkan.
So
Which
work
was
is 39
specific-
things.
Yeah.
We'll do one class on that too. Work are 39
I know,
things.
I've
You've heard my
they all
version.
come from the
Right.
70s of doing halal.
That's
I
right.
know the
Yeah,
answer.
etc. So work is 39 things. One of the 39 things is not to light a fire. That one is actually one of the few of the 39 that's explicitly written in the Torah. Lo sevaru eish b'chol moshavosechem. You should not light a fire in any of your boundaries, says the Torah on Shabbat. So that one's actually literally in the Torah. Not driving a car is in the written Torah. Literally. Because you can't. Now, you can make a different argument, and this is where you can start to have conversation. You can say, what if my chauffeur drives the car?
Right. I didn't light it.
Right? I didn't light anything.
Or
So
the
that's
people
it.
that ride like things that don't stop for you.
That's a
Right.
much more interesting conversation. And there's room for debate. There is room for debate. It's become well accepted that we don't do it, but there's room for proper Torah discussion on that matter. But to turn on your car and to go to shul on Shabbos, there's no discussion. It's not, there's no need for discussion. It's literally in the written Torah, forget the oral Torah. And I'm going to say that I'm making up a number. This is purely made up, so don't quote me on it, or quote me, I don't care, but it's just not true. 95% of the entire halacha is directly from Moshe. Now, when I say 95% of the halacha, I don't mean 95% of the conversation about the halacha. Because where does conversation happen? At the edges, at the 5%. So there's tons of conversation in this 5%. But if you look at a law book like the Rambam, there's not debate about almost any of it, but there's tons of debate. Because that 5%, you can have endless conversation. But the 95%, everybody agrees. How could everybody agree if it's all some person's interpretation? Because it's not. This is the oral Torah that was given to us by Hashem to Moshe, explained by Moshe to the Jewish people 4 times, then explained by each of those people 1 time. And then from parent to son.
That have changed through time and become things.
Maybe. I'm not debating you, but give me an example. I can give you examples because what are you thinking of?
I don't know. The other day, a friend told me that you're not supposed to eat in Shabbat in the same plate, meat and fish.
That's correct.
That's
That is correct. No. All opinions agree with this.
Come from?
The Talmud.
Was that like explained to Moshe?
Maybe.
In
That
classes?
No, that is from the Talmud, which is why both Sephardim and Ashkenazim have the same. Whenever it's written explicitly in the Talmud, there's no debate between Sephardim and Ashkenazim. There can't be because the Talmud says so, which we didn't get to. We didn't even get to the Talmud yet. But that's written clearly in the Talmud. But it comes from a mitzvah. The mitzvah is clear. That particular application, we would not necessarily have gotten from Moshe. The mitzvah is ushmartem ma'odes nafshosechem. You will guard your health very carefully. For whatever reason, the sages of the Talmud believed that there is a health concern of mixing fish with meat.
Right, but the Talmud is how many years later?
We didn't get there yet.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there
No,
are
but
many laws that have developed in all.
I'm telling you, you're actually wrong. You're not wrong. You're right.
I'm
not
trying to say
No,
they're not valid rules or whatever. I'm just saying that they became
But I'm telling you
thing
no. I'm telling you,
time for
the law.
humans.
No, but it's not correct. It's a misunderstanding. The law is you need to be careful with your health. That is the law.
Uh-huh.
Problem is health matters change over time, right? They once thought smoking cigarettes was good for you. Okay, health matters change over time. And our knowledge of health changes over time. So that becomes one of those areas where the rabbis should say that smoking is against the Torah.
Right.
I happen to agree.
And it annoys me when I see a lot of people
Yes,
smoking.
I agree. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult to make such a statement. Who decided it's when did they decide? So we're going to make a decision right now that it's against the Torah, or should we better say, follow whatever the doctors follow your doctor. I'm not going to speak about smoking. I'm going to tell you,
but then why
follow
do
your
they
doctor.
still not mix fish and meat?
So it's a unique one. It's a unique one. And it's actually debated. people do debate it, and people say that even though the Talmud is clear about this, since the reasoning of the Talmud is health, if we know differently now, maybe that should actually change. That one is the one that's up for conversation. Okay, it's become codified, and therefore most people wouldn't touch it. But it's really in the it's in
codified. Like,
we'll get there. That's where we're gonna
what's
go.
the name of the law that has become codified?
Halacha, maybe?
No,
Shulchan Aruch?
no, the ones that are traditions that have
Minhag?
minhag.
Okay, that's not minhag.
That's
This is
not a
halacha.
minhag.
No,
That's
this
what
is halacha.
the fish and the meat in the same place.
Halacha.
Is halacha.
Halacha. Yeah, it's not minhag.
Also the cubiertos, no? Or no?
See,
Or no?
basically, I mean,
You have to-
it's not like milk and meat that we're careful not to use the same
I
thing
know.
for
But it's
each.
just like,
But you're meant to wash it off or to clean it off or not
use
use the same one.
another one.
Use another one. Yeah, that's right. But that's actually a good example. I like that example because this one shows some of the edges of this conversation. But and health will always be in that realm because health is something that's constantly changing, right? What was good for you literally 5 years ago today is considered evil. So that's a hard one. But let's put that one to the side for the moment. Most of what you think is rabbinic interpretation is not rabbinic interpretation. That's all I'm really trying to tell you. Most of what you think is rabbinic interpretation is 100% directly what we call halacha Moshe Misinai. Moses giving us the halacha means the way from Sinai.
So all those halachot are in the Mishnah.
Now we're going to say that in 1 minute. We're almost ready to explain
Halacha Moshe Misinai.
halacha Moshe Misinai. That tefillin is supposed to be black is not interpretation. There's no interpretation. There is no proper Jewish source that says tefillin is anything other than black, and that it's anything other than made from leather, and that it's anything other than 1 compartment on your arm and 4 compartments in your head.
Can I see that one?
Sure.
That's a kosher phone.
It happens to be kosher, but I'm not that kosher in these things.
The light.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just
That is the yeah, but on the back of it is an AI device.
it is.
That's records the class.
Yeah. Well, I'm not recording it. I would let you know if I was. But and I think I'm going to return it. I'm not a fan. So far, I'll give it another 1 more week. We'll see if it gets better. Where are we up to? Right, halacha Moshe Misinai. So almost everything. So if you're going to go to the laws of Shabbat, what are the 39 malachot? Halacha Moshe Misinai. That tefillin are black. Halacha Moshe Misinai. That on Rosh Hashanah we're supposed to use a ram's horn specifically. Halacha Moshe Misinai, or a horn of a certain kind of animal, not only ram, but whatever animals are allowed. Halacha Moshe Misinai. That
the summary of all of these, it's the Shulchan Aruch, correct? Like if you have to go,
sort of, yeah.
like
Let's
the-
go.
the
Not
Buddha-
no, not exactly.
No?
Ish, because Shulchan Aruch. Let's get there. Okay, I'm going very long.
because I would love to have like Shulchan Aruch, like I don't know, I'm making it up. Like this is a law, and would it say Halacha Moshe Misinai?
No,
like,
it'll never
verified?
use those words.
Verified.
Almost never use those words because it's assumed.
It's assumed.
It's assumed.
Mhm.
It's like saying, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it's assumed.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you have to assume that if it's in, I mean, which are the law? Like I'm saying, we debate everything so much within different Jewish groups, but they all agree.
Yeah,
the
but it's
most
really not
basic
true. That's what I'm
things.
telling you. What I'm telling you is
No, what
the
I'm saying-
debate is on the.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
that
yes,
Really,
right.
if
That's right.
all of us agree on 95% of it, it's
That's right.
like
Yeah.
verified.
Exactly
Mm.
correct. And I'll even go further and say that the 5% is verified too, and it's appropriate for this group and appropriate for that group. But that's for another. We'll get there. Okay, so Moshe taught the entire mitzvot. That's what we mean that he taught the Torah.
One last question.
Sure,
When does
not
the
one last.
when does the nevuah stop?
Nevuah officially stops with the end of the Ketuvim.
¿Qué es nebuah? Perdón.
Como
Prophecy.
La profecía, el profeta. So
Maybe some of the Mishnah too, but it's Mishnah is not written with Nevuah.
So none of the big rabbis or the Sanhedrin or Skanim.
They may have had prophecies of sorts, but we don't quote them as prophets. Their contribution is either in remembering what Moshe said or in explaining what Moshe said. That's their contribution.
Good teachers. So good memory was the best skill.
It was one of them, but you also had to understand. It's another skill. And certain rabbis were known for their memories, and certain rabbis were known for their skills, for their.
It's very hard. Like, I don't know. Would you say you remember everything that you?
Of course I do.
Huh?
Of course I do.
No.
No.
So why would we assume that? That's
good question. Good question.
And
So that's where I'm about to
people
go.
that are very experts on their subjects
Make mistakes.
make mistakes
Of
when they
course.
teach something or,
No
or
doubt.
say something
No
and then
doubt.
you say
No
something
doubt.
else.
No question.
Even
Okay.
AI makes mistakes.
No, not even.
No,
AI always makes mistakes. Yeah, AI always makes mistakes. I've never seen it get it right. Anyhow, let's move on. Okay. So what happens?
So we can assume that have been mistakes along this path.
Maybe. I'll argue against it, but I'm not going to argue against it to say that it's impossible. I'll argue against it to say that it's unlikely.
But
Well, you didn't hear the path yet. So far, we only got to
Okay.
Moshe.
No, I know.
We only have one generation.
Exactly.
I know.
And the way that, and even that one generation, even Moshe, we didn't just let him say it once and disappear. That's part of my answer to your question, is that Moshe had to repeat it 4 times.
But 4 times for everything that we're talking about,
Yes.
it doesn't seem like a lot.
Why not?
I can repeat, I don't know, if I had to, only this class.
Okay.
I'm going to learn it, I'm going to repeat it 4 times.
Right.
I can get so many things. I'm not comparing myself, but that's what I'm saying. Like, was there specific, like maybe people had better memory back then? Or,
No, it doesn't seem like a lot. Like for what?
to repeat it
To
4 times.
repeat-
And
Oh, no. That's not for the memorization part.
okay.
That's simply, however Moshe memorized it, he memorized it. We don't have the answer to that question.
Okay.
His teaching was 4 times. Why is that important? Is because if I tell you the same thing 4 times in a row,
Yeah, but,
that means I know what I'm talking
but
about.
it's a lot for the person receiving, for Aaron to learn everything, even if you
We
heard
didn't
4
say that
times.
that's his only way of learning.
Bueno, that's
All he
that's
said-
the reason they decided to write it.
We're getting
Right?
there. We're
No,
getting
it
there.
was
Yes,
because
you're
there
on the
was-
right path-ish, sort
There
of.
were,
Yes, but it's all part of the same conversation.
No,
But when Aaron, why is the teaching important 4 times? Not because that's enough to memorize it. To the contrary, when we speak about learning, this is the number it uses in the Talmud, 100 times.
100 times.
100 times to memorize. And if you're a real student, 101. That's the words of the Talmud. Okay? That's what memorization is. It's not 4 times.
Right, but this is, you understood it.
It's a proof that he's not changing anything. When you repeat the
But
same
it's not
thing,
like how long was this class?
it is every day for the whole day. What were they doing? That's what they were doing all day. That and smoking marijuana. Those are the 2 things that was going on. What else could they be doing? They weren't working.
In
Ayahuasca.
the desert.
In the
for 40
desert.
years,
What were they
and
doing?
then-
They had
right.
nothing else to do.
Okay.
There was no wars
Mana
except for the
break,
beginning.
mana break.
Exactly. There was nobody had to make a living. There was nothing. So what were they doing? They were studying Torah all day. Got it? Good.
Mhm. Avanzamos 0. Seguimos.
No, está bien. Avanzamos mucho.
No, pero es que avanzamos mucho en
Exacto,
términos
in
como
it.
de big
Entender.
picture.
In the
Big
understanding,
picture,
in the
yeah.
understanding.
Sure.
Exactly. Now what happens? People were allowed to write down their own versions,
Like their notes.
their notes. Everything that you guys do all the time here, people were doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I have to be honest, they weren't doing it like you're doing it. Why not? For 2 reasons. Paper wasn't cheap
Mhm.
and ink wasn't so available. You know what I'm saying? So when people were writing notes, they were writing,
Important stuff.
and they were writing it in a very careful, particular way. But those notes never became anything official. That's what we mean, the oral Torah. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to write down a memory guide or something to help you remember things. What we mean is that there was never a book that has the official version.
Notes, yeah.
It was taught always. A rabbi would stand in front of the community and teach. A teacher would have a group of students and would teach. A father would teach his sons. A mother would teach her daughters.
But I've been into a class and people hear the same thing and everybody
Comes out with
something different.
So you've got two things going on. One thing is many of the classes you're going to are not classes of halacha. Many of the classes you're going to are classes of thought.
You're
You
saying
have to
this is
compare
more
it to a
straightforward.
math
Much more
class.
straightforward.
Right.
Everybody
It's
comes out of
true.
a math class with the same
Equals.
Exactly.
Supposedly, if
Yeah,
you
you
got it,
should.
if you get it, exactly,
Mhm.
if you get it, that's right. So you're dealing with things that are much more particular, exactly. In addition, there was a group of people whose primary job was ensuring it gets passed from one generation to the next. So I
Like
didn't.
the lawyers.
Yes,
but
there was,
it
exactly.
was the
How are
one-
they called?
These were called the Zakanim.
The
Sorry, by the way,
memorizers.
The
we
memorizers.
haven't got the time where it was written. So
No.
No.
Now this group, let's go for the fast version,
That was her job.
Wait, Aaron and sus hijos, the leaders, these are the
and then the regular people.
Sí, eso.
They're right,
Los
but,
Sekenim,
okay,
los
los
elders.
Sekenim
For
son
those.
the leaders.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
I didn't understand the part where you explained the 4 times who taught and who.
Moshe teaches it 4 times.
Uh-huh.
First to Aaron, then to Aaron and his 2 children, then to Aaron and his 2 children and the leaders, then to Aaron and his 2 children, the leaders, and whichever Jew wants to show up.
Uh-huh.
4 times repeated it.
Right.
Then he leaves. And Aaron teaches it again
After the 4th time.
after the 4th
So
time.
Aaron starts teaching
So
to whoever wanted to come.
whoever was still there.
4 times.
Right. So now those people heard it 4 times.
Right.
Now, well, not those people. The next group heard it 4 times. Now Aaron leaves. His sons teach it. They leave.
They
They-
were.
they- to study on their own. I don't know.
Okay. These are the 2 sons that die in.
No, these are the 2 sons who remain.
who remain
Yeah.
because they haven't they died already,
Yes.
and here they
Yes.
died already
Yes. Yes. They die within the first year
within the first year.
¿Quién?
in the
Son
desert.
los hijos que
Yeah,
entran
yeah.
al Kodesh HaKodashim y se mueren de
Mhm.
un rayo.
Okay, good. So now we have a group of people who are in charge. Now, let me back up a second. I have friends who, well, I have one friend you guys know about you because he's become a very famous speaker, Y.Y. Jacobson.
Mhm.
When Y.Y. Jacobson and I were in yeshiva together, when he was even younger than when I first met him in yeshiva, I knew him as even a little kid, but he was one of 5 or 6 guys, maybe a little more, 10 guys, whose job was to remember the Rebbe's Farbrengens by heart.
Oh, wow.
So the Rebbe would Farbring for
Yeah.
3-4 hours on a Shabbat.
To then write it.
Then they would
after
get
Shabbat,
together.
I know.
The 10 guys would also come together,
Sí.
and they would. It was him, his brother, and some other guys. Well, the other guys were the more seniors. They were actually from the juniors. His brother wasn't senior, but whatever. And they would memorize the whole thing.
Wow.
Wow.
And this is difficult material. This is not.
Only
this is-
one time after they heard.
They
one
just heard
time.
it. They were at the Farbrengen.
Wow.
It was Shabbos. Nobody could write anything down. There was no
Pasada
recording
la noche
devices.
They would spill
Ah.
Yes.
everything down.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's exactly what would happen. And then there would be debate between them. That's why they had
Okay,
5,
so
10
this-
guys.
he said this.
Yeah, no, it was a little different. And finally, they would come with a conclusion, the group together, that this is what we think. And then many of those things were sent back to the Rebbe for
Revision.
approval, but many were not. Most of it was not. Okay? All I'm trying to show you is that there are gifted people. They're very gifted people. Not only that, I have friends who can tell you any statistic of any baseball player from year this to year that,
Yeah, true.
and they know it like,
It's true.
what are you, crazy?
Yeah.
Why do you know that? You're an idiot. Why would you know such a thing? But they know it like this.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's their passion.
My brother-in-law knows every date of everything that ever happened.
There you
It's
go.
Crazy.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah, it was December 15, 2000.
Yeah.
Like of life. Yeah.
So there's talented people, and then there's people who are passionate.
Yeah.
You mix the two together, and you have a tremendous capacity, a much greater capacity than you imagine. There were rabbis throughout all these generations, which we're going to explain those generations right now. There were rabbis throughout all these generations who were experts in specific topics in halakha. So they knew their laws perfectly. No conversation. They knew them perfectly. Why? Because they were talented and because they were passionate. Put those two together, and you can certainly know the laws of Rosh Hashanah perfectly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It didn't have to be one person who knew all of it perfectly. You needed enough people in each
Like,
generation.
Rosh Hashanah,
That's right. That's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it was.
and people will go to them for.
Yes, whenever there was lack of clarity. And you had a group. This group was called, at different times of history, had different names. Sometimes they were called the Zakinim. That's what we spoke about earlier. Sometimes they were called the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin was a group of 70 rabbis or 72 rabbis whose job, they had three jobs. Job number one was to remember the entire oral Torah. Job number two was to transmit to the next generation and to their generation the entire oral Torah. Job number three was to apply the oral Torah to new circumstances, as you were asking. And that is where you start to have some room for differences.
Right.
Okay?
So what I'm saying is that, let's say in that time of the history, I don't know, man, it was a chauvinistic time.
It still is. I agree.
Right, but
And it should be.
then it was more. I'm
I
not.
don't see if I can get in trouble here.
I don't know, or whatever, or they didn't know much
No,
about
okay,
health or medicine. They
Yeah,
didn't
so no,
know
but you're
how the
asking,
body worked.
what you're asking, okay, what you're asking,
So
the bodies they were
We're
experts on.
all depending.
You had rabbis who were experts on how the body worked.
but
yeah.
we're
Not with today's knowledge.
basing a whole religion on these guys.
So
Not all. But
so
some laws that we still
it is
do
worthwhile. It is a worthwhile endeavor to, when you're studying Torah, to
today. Question.
not to question entirely, but to question. Okay, I just learned something. I learned that a shofar has to be from a horn of a ram. It doesn't have to be from a ram, but I'm just using an example. It could be from certain kinds of horns. Where does that come from? It's a fair question. You're allowed to ask that question. You ask that all the time. Oh, this comes from blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's part of the 95%. Next, move on. Now, if you're going to ask a question, the laws of rape, because you spoke about chauvinism, the laws of rape, okay? What is the halacha about rape? That's written in the Torah. It's written in this week's parsha. It's in this week's parsha. So it doesn't matter the chauvinism of the man or the chauvinism not of the man. It's what the Torah says. Now, we may not like what it says because we come to it, our society has different ideas about whatever it is, but that doesn't make it less true. That's what the halacha is. Where could the chauvinistic idea show up? If it's in the Torah, it's in the Torah. Now, you could say the whole Torah is wrong too. That's fine. That's a fair argument. You understand what I'm saying? But then you've said, I'm not interested in what the Torah says because I believe that the modern way of looking at things is better than what the Torah thinks. That's fine. But that's no longer part of religion anymore. Now you've said, forget religion.
No,
And let's go with the modern.
I just said chauvinistic.
I'm using it as an
because I'm trying to
example.
think in that era
And
where they
I'm
were
saying
living.
it's a fair example.
Many times we don't know if something is from the Torah, from the halacha.
So you
from
should ask what he's saying. You should
Yes,
ask him, no.
exactly.
Anyway, 95% is completely.
No,
I
and
mean,
what he's saying.
No, but
what
that 95% was sealed by the Sanhedrin,
And
it became. That's what I'm saying, and it became the law.
No, but no, that 95% he's saying it was from Moshe, passed down by experts who knew it and passed down and learned it, passed down and learned.
not only
passed
experts.
down.
Whoa, careful. I said earlier, it's not only the experts.
Right. It's
The experts were
everybody.
in charge of making sure it stays,
True.
Exactly
True.
the same.
but everybody was teaching it, which is part of the reason if the experts were suddenly making stuff up, everybody would know it.
Claro.
This is a open source. Open source means what is the blockchain? Blockchain is the best example. Blockchain means that everybody has access to everything. which means that you can't do something and make a change without everybody else knowing that you made the change. You know what I'm saying?
Le da
No,
veracidad,
a mí me
¿entiendes?
encanta. I love the explanation one day. I heard a rabbi saying that, o sea, como que las otras religiones fue como que Mahoma fue a la montaña y se consiguió con no sé qué.
Sí, uno.
El otro, entonces vino este y dijo yo soy el rey y vino, pero esto fue como que millones, o sea, todo el mundo estuvo escuchando la Torá, o sea, digo, los primeros 2 mandamientos, vio cuando Moshe subió, o sea, como que fue como que todo el mundo vio cuando se abrió el mar, todo el mundo, entonces, claro, fue pasando también de generación en generación, igual esto es lo que está diciendo el rabino, es como que es muy difícil empezar a decir, yo vi que se abrió el mar, no, pero yo no vi, yo no lo vi cuando se abrió, pero si todo el mundo lo vio, y fue pasando de generación en generación, es mucho más fácil de entender que todo esto es totalmente 100% verdad, porque no fue una sola persona.
It's definitely helpful in our argument. I agree. Our religion from beginning to end. Now, I have to be honest. We said earlier that all of it came from Moshe. Moshe could have made it all up. Now, the fact that we trust him not to make it all up comes from the fact that we saw the way Hashem spoke to him. All of us saw it.
Exactly, the first 2.
But in theory, you could say, that, yeah, he's told us the first 2, and from then on, Moshe made the rest up. I don't know. You could. I have to be honest. You could.
How many Sanhedrins were there? Like, when did the first Sanhedrin was
Moshe.
established? Moshe was the first Sanhedrin?
So they didn't call it Sanhedrin then. The same group had different names.
Okay. And when was the last one?
Hard to answer that question. It's a little complicated. The reason are you running?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I want to hear the answer.
Okay. Let me give you your little piece you're looking for. Yes, the Mishnah was the first time the oral Torah was written down. Okay. That happened about 1,800 years. Am I right? Maybe I'm off by a little bit. I think it's 1,800 years.
So we tried that for 1,000 years, it was passed down correctly.
That's right.
For 1,000 years.
No more, like 1,800 years.
For 1,800 years.
If I got the number right, I think I'm right.
It was passed down.
Yes. I see the look of skepticism
No,
all of you. You're allowed to. It's fine.
I'm a fan of Judaism. I love it. And
Hello.
I
If you're not skeptical,
amazing.
I wouldn't want to
I'm
teach
really
you.
Amazed at
But if you're
that.
not skeptical, I wouldn't want to teach you.
But
You have to be skeptical.
But I think
There's room for...
there's I'm sure there's error.
I would suggest to you the main reason you believe it. I'm not saying it's not possible. Of course it's possible. And I said it from the beginning. I think I have a strong argument against it, is all I said. I would suggest to you that the main reason that you think that way is, I hate to play rank a little bit, is because you haven't studied enough. And the reason I say that is the more you study Talmud, I'm saying the more you study Talmud, the more you study halacha, the more you dive into this world, into this ocean, the more you see how good it is.
I know.
Not how good it is, meaning how good it is for your life.
How genius. No,
and how well it's preserved and how well it's conversed and the conversations and how it works. The more you really, I'm giving you a 1-minute version of this. The more you really swim in these waters, the clearer it becomes that at the very least, it's possible that it was properly transmitted. I think 100%, but at the very least, maybe it was. Whereas if you're just hearing a rabbi say it in 15 or 20 minutes or whatever it is, why wouldn't you have the question? I agree with you. The question is obvious. Go play, how do you guys call it? In Spanish, you say it different. We call it broken telephone. You call it Chinese telephone.
Telefonito.
Right. Go play Chinese telephone for 5 minutes and you already see how much things change in a minute. I don't disagree with your question. Your question's a valid question. All I'm suggesting is that A, there's a basic answer, which I tried to give. But B, is the more that you swim in it, the more you recognize that things have really not changed, at least from the time it was first written in the Mishnah till the time we have it today. It really has not. And I say that in like such absolute
Right.
really has not. It really has not. Now there's spaces where there's changes. And we didn't get to those spaces yet.
About the Mishnah, wait. In what time?
Time period?
Uh-huh.
You're talking post destruction of Second Temple by about, am I right? I hope I'm right.
Of Second Temple.
I hope I'm right by about 100 years.
Are we doing this? Are we
I guess we
continuing
have
this
to.
next week? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't
and
plan on it,
also-
but I
and
guess.
also, are there records? Like, is the original Mishnah somewhere?
We don't have the
Is there an original Mishnah?
no. We do have very old Mishnayos, but we don't have the physical original Mishnah. No. It would be unlikely that such a thing would exist. It's not like the, it would not have been like the Declaration of Independence where they wrote 5 of them and they put one in a sealed container. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
Post destruction of Second Temple. Where?
In
Where
Israel.
was-
In
In
Israel.
Israel.
Yeah.
So, they wrote it because people were leaving to different places and they needed to have a